You ready?
Yeah, go.
Now, broadcasting on Radio Star Worldwide, it's time for Dr. Rademaker's Prescription for Transformation. Let's tap into your own authentic genius and live the life you desire.
You are now listening to...
Join Dr. Rademaker for an enlightened conversation about our brain intelligence, our body intelligence, and our energy intelligence. And now, here's your host, Dr. Bart Rademaker.
Welcome. I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation. Real people, real conversations, and real success. And lately, I've just been talking to myself. And really because I've been meeting these amazing people worldwide at these incredible events with Tony Robbins and the incredible teams that I get to work with, and capturing a lot of their, brilliance and essence and magnificence, and collecting all that and sharing many of their gifts, with you today. And so this is an interesting time. It's the end of the year. So it's the end. But it's also that time of reward. We have Christmas. For those who celebrate anything like that, this is that time where we indeed are celebrating who we are and what we've accomplished. And I don't think we necessarily see it in that perspective, but somehow we do get that kind of gift. And I'm looking side by side because I'm one of those techno geeks. I got like 5 screens right here, 3 computers going on, actually 2 right now. And I see my website's not up, but that's okay. At least I'm on Facebook on 3 different platforms. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Crowdcast, and also, of course, Star Worldwide Radio, one of the most up-and-coming radio stations, internet radio stations out there. Really blessed that I get to work with them, and have been with them for the last couple of years. And really, it's all about getting that message out there. And it's not so much my message. It's the message that I'm gleaning from all these incredible people, the people that I meet and the people that I read. And these are the people that you can read as well. And but I'm just kind of synthesizing it for you in a format that hopefully you get to enjoy either today, which is December 20th of 2019, 2018. I'm getting ahead of myself. The show is about 2019, but it's about, getting that information that you don't have. And that is exactly the purpose of Prescription for Your Transformation, helping you tap into your authentic genius and live the life that you desire. Really, because there is so much within you that you're not even aware of. Yes, we talk all the time about the brain that is untapped. Well, there's that unconscious mind of yours as well that's not being untapped, or that's not untapped. I'm getting my words all messed up. That's not tapped. And so it's important then to find the tools and the vehicles and the resources to really tap into your greatness. There's definitely 10 times or 20 times more of you. And so getting back to what it is about this month and this last few weeks and in your own personal greatness is the reward that you can experience from connecting with your loved ones, or just your friends, or just the spirit of Christmas, that reward at the end of this year, and realizing the beginning is close by too. It's what's going to happen next year. And so it's that time that we can reflect, what was 2018 all about? And not wait till the 31st like most people do. And suddenly, and with all these enhancements with alcohol or drugs or whatever that is, come up with all these fancy ideas of what 2019 is going to be about and then forget about them the next day. No. It's really starting to engage in what 2019 is going to be for you, because you deserve that. So why not pay it forward for yourself? Not just allow yourself to reward yourself or be rewarded by others for who you are because they love you, but begin that set the stage to reward yourself for the coming year. But that requires work. You've got to decide. what that's actually going to look like. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to be in the place that I'm at. Very fortunate that I grew up in all these different countries, speak these languages, and have an amazing wife that welcomed me home today after a long trip. And it was just nice to have that in my life. And there's also so much more that I want to accomplish, so much more that I want to be, so much more that I can have. One of the coolest things these days is we've got Amazon. Love Amazon. For me, it's almost like every day is Christmas. And I'm I came home and find out I got this awesome package. It's the convenience of life. It's the comfort of life. It's having those things that you want in life. But it requires work. So what's that going to be for you next year? And so to know what that needs to be, we first have to ask yourself, what was 2018 all about? So take a moment, if you like, and reflect. And this is an exercise that I do with my clients, is reflecting on what was great about 2018. And I was doing this today as I was traveling back from the Bahamas, where, again, I feel very blessed because I get to do the stem cell surgeries and help some amazing people. I wish I could tell you who they were because they're so cool, but I can't do that out of confidentiality to them. So as you recognize all the things that you've done, and you know what, sometimes it's difficult. We just tend to remember the things that were bad. Well, we want to remember those things too. We want to, so basically write them down on a piece of paper. What was great about 2018? What were those magic moments? What did you love about 2018? What are some of the things that you really want to repeat in 2019? So if you make that list for yourself, you begin to recognize the celebrations, the rewards that you got throughout the year, your achievements, what you've done. And as you start making that list, then asking yourself as well, and this is what I was doing today as well, is, where did I kind of fall short in some of the things? One of the things that fuels me, what gets me excited, this might be weird for some of you guys, but I love to learn. And so when I get to read these incredible thought leaders and have access to these summaries, the Philosopher's Notes is one of my favorites. These summaries of these amazing people throughout the years, that it just enhances my perception and perspective of what's around me. I'm constantly in awe of what's possible for all of us. And that's tapping into your human potential. Have you ever watched like the Olympic Games? Or have you watched somebody doing some impossible feat, like climbing, a cliff that almost has no handholds, but somehow they're doing that without even a rope and they reach the top? I get so excited because it always reminds me what's possible inside of me. It always reminds me what's untapped inside of me. Because when you tap into that brilliance that you have, you get to have a lot more. Whether it's physical things or whether it's just experiences. Experience about meeting people. Because of all the work that I've done over the years, I met some amazing people that have incredible experiences like, oh my gosh, I could almost live vicariously through them. But that would not have happened if I hadn't done the work. So somehow you've got to figure out, okay, what's your work for 2019? What's going to happen for 2019? I'm looking over here because one of my Facebook pages is kind of blanking out. I'm not sure why that is. All right. Well, hopefully that'll stay focused there. That's a Facebook connection thing. Just blame Facebook. Facebook's in trouble these days, isn't it? All right. I don't know. I just hear about that. So appreciate the things that you could have done better. And I was looking at my list and I was talking about exploring the opportunities that now open themselves for me to realize that I wasn't reading enough. There's another part that I wasn't doing well enough, and that was, getting the feedback of these podcasts and actually looking at these podcasts myself and listening to what I actually said, if it actually made any sense, and even my coaching calls, reviewing the things that I share with my clients, because many times they come up with some really creative stuff. And then these are things that I would want to repeat, to other people. So what are the things that you would have liked to done even better? Whether it's learning a new skill, or whether it's something that you're doing at work, or maybe it's a particular relationship, maybe your own children, maybe your own partner. What are some events that actually occurred that if you look back at those, that you said, what, I wish I had done it this way. And so you're setting the stage up for next year when things like that do happen again, because invariably, we do like to repeat the things that we kind of mess up. At least I know I do. Sometimes I think I'm a slow learner. I got this beautiful new partner, married to her, married her in Venice last year. It was like her dream city to go to. And what a wonderful thing that I could do, and had the foresight to think, what? This is something that's really important for her. But when you're not ready for that, when you're not engaged in what's possible for you in your life, then you're going to miss out on these opportunities. So best thing, set that stage right now. Looking back and appreciate what was great about 2018. What did you like about it? What did you love about it? And what could be better about it? The gurus say out there, be happy with what you have. Well, yeah, to a point. To a point, you can be very happy. I'm very happy. And I want more, because there is more. It's available to you, and it's okay to have more. Because here's another truism that I absolutely believe in, is when you've got that positive intent, when you've got that positive perspective out there, guess what? You are able to give a lot more to others. One of my top values is generosity. It's contribution. It's helping others. My emotional currency in this life is seeing other people succeed. And when I can be part of that, that's even better. And so what is it for you? What is it that you're giving back to the world? What is it that you're giving back to the universe? Whose life are you affecting? And so by having that kind of ability to prepare yourself to upcoming situations, you're going to be able to respond to them in a much better way. That's the difference between a master and a grandmaster at chess. It's because they have so much experience. They've done these moves so many times. They've played these games so many times over that they're ready for it when the opportunity comes in. What's the definition of luck? If any of you know that, share it with me. What's the definition of luck? And that's simply this. It's when opportunity meets preparedness. You prepared in advance. You look at the top athletes, the top skiers. They see themselves winning in advance. They know all the moves in advance. And it's genius just watching them. So then other things, what did you absolutely dislike? What did you hate? What was wrong with 2018? And not just the things that could have been better, but what did you just not like at all? And then putting out that list for yourself. Look, I don't want to repeat this. I don't want to have these experiences anymore. And these are important things then to relate to. So once you've set the stage as you reflect on the past, now the harder work comes in. And it really starts off with, who am I? How do you define yourself? Because how you define yourself is really the essence of how you get to show up. I think it's fair to say that we have to acknowledge, how we see ourselves, but also how other people see us. Not from the perspective that we want to please them, but we also want to understand, how we affect the world around us. Because without that insight, then we're asleep, right? We're unconscious. And you don't want to be unconscious in this world because you're going to miss out so much. And I see it all the time. It's fascinating to see how people are just simply unaware of what's going on around them. And they miss out on just beautiful opportunities. Even worse, they make things worse for themselves. So how do you define yourself? What is your identity? It's the strongest force in human behavior psychology to remain consistent with how we define ourselves. So are you a doctor? Are you a lawyer? Are you a mom? Are you a dad? But then define that more specifically. What is that? Describe that role. Describe that job, if you will. Who are you? And is it good enough? I was doing this matrix. My coach was helping me today, is recognizing, the 16 things that really are important to me. And he told me to write this in one single minute. Just write down in 1 minute in these 16 different quadrants, all things that are important to you, and rate yourself with them as well. And one of them was love. One of them was my wife. One of them were my kids. And I rated each and every one of them. And so recognizing, how I felt that I was connecting with my children. That's my role as a dad, to be the ultimate parent to them and be a model for their own personal success, as well as a support whenever things are not going their way, whenever they have some sort of confusion. And have magic moments together with them as they're building their lives. And oftentimes, living vicariously through them. Doing the things that you never did or couldn't do. Why? Because it's a new generation. There's new technology. There's new opportunities. Things that you never had. But your children do. So I'm redefining every year, even more often than just once a year, what my role is as a dad. What is my role as a wife or parent or dad or father or husband, right? Your relationships with the people around you are critically important. I know the things that drive me oftentimes makes it even harder for me to maintain those relationships. So it's even more important for me to have a value of, what is that relationship with my wife, my kids, my staff, my clients, my patients. What is that? And then as it expands all other parts of your life. So who are you? What is your role? So then the other part, what we talked about last week, are your beliefs and values. Because they define you. Those are your driving forces as you move forward. What are your beliefs about yourself? What are your values? And as you start looking at 2019, and as you have that clarity, then you can also begin to establish, okay, what's actually possible in 2019? What's practical? What's realistic? What is something that I really do want? Because the challenge, I think, that happens with so many people, they have all these ideas of what they think they're going to want in their life. And they're just not getting it. Because they're not clear. They're not clear about what they value the most. They're not clear about their beliefs about themselves. They're just not clear enough. And so they've gotten themselves in this rut of life, this routine. I think I prefer the word routine. They've gotten themselves in this routine in life because it offers them certainty. But at the end of the day, if it's the rocking chair test, if you were to look back, did you live the life that you really want to live? See, the problem is that way too often, people at the end of their lives, they have so many regrets. Are you going to be one of those? Do you want regrets at the end of 2019? The things that you knew that you could achieve, but you didn't because you didn't prepare. It's not enough to decide, on New Year's Day, at 12:01 a.m., you know what? This is what's going to happen. That's not enough. That's what, unfortunately, most people do. That's a delusion. Actually, that's actually a distraction, right? It's a distraction from owning up to to your own integrity, to your own word, to your own accountability, to show up the way that you know that's right for you. There's this wonderful phrase that really shocked me, and I've said it on this platform many times. Hell on earth if I were ever to meet the man I was meant to be. Is that going to be you? How many opportunities are you going to miss out on? I think one of the things that holds people back in this whole idea of procrastination is simply they don't have clarity. They don't know how. They're so focused on the how to get somewhere. When if you just had the strength of purpose, when you really knew what you wanted, the how will sort itself out. Decide what you want based on your beliefs and your values. So what else can you do to figure that out? Well, there's one thing that I like to do, and that is the wheel of life. So just imagine a wheel with all of its spokes. Let's say there's 10 quadrants in a wheel. And just imagine for yourself, if there are 10 parts to your life, one would be health, for example. Another would be relationships. Another would be finances or wealth. Another would be, career. And so there's 4 right there that everybody has. And if you were to decide for yourself 6 other ones, maybe it's religion, maybe it's spirituality, maybe it's adventure, maybe it's creativity, maybe it's growth, maybe it's something, athletics, whatever that is. If you were to rate yourself from 0 to 10, if you're honest with yourself and ask yourself, great, at 0, I have no fulfillment, and at 10, it's the absolute best. Where are you in any of those particular areas that you're less than 6? Because anything less than 6 is just not good enough. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. Your standard. I just had a reframe by my coach with myself, and I just got it the other day. In fact, it took me a few days to really figure it out. Is that I like this concept of being flexible. I think flexibility is absolutely key. But what I realized was that I was being too flexible with my standard. When you don't want to be flexible with your standard, you want to be unreasonable with your standard. You want to make sure that you've got the highest standard for yourself. Just be flexible how you're going to get there. And I totally misread that one. And so what you're going to want to do is appreciate, look, this is what I want in life. This is what I want to experience. This is what I want to have. Too often we're faulted for wanting things. I don't know where exactly that came from, but I think it's spoon-fed to us in one form or another. And those people that really said, no, you know what, I'm going to get what I want, great on them. At least if they didn't, step on other people, which unfortunately oftentimes does happen. But you don't have to do that. You can have what you want. And then you know what? I'd invite you to expand it 10 times. Those people who tell you, think small, because at least this way you're not going to be disappointed. That's nonsense. Think big. Think really big. And maybe you'll just get halfway there, but it's certainly going to be a lot more than just thinking small. It's about being optimistic. It's about having a great attitude for what you do have. It's being grateful for what you do have. It's being aware again and grateful for what you've achieved, even though it's not where you want to be. I can tell you right now, I'm definitely not where I want to be, where I expected to be at this age. I have so many other things that have taken this place that are just absolutely awesome that I never thought of. So from that perspective, I'm incredibly grateful. But my mission that I set out when I was 21, because I was pretty clear when I was 21 what that mission was going to be like. And it ain't there. Sometimes I even think I'm just beginning. My life is just beginning. And this is after 17 years of medical training and 20 years in practice, always learning. And as I look back, I think to myself, oof, if I only had stayed with my original coach, where would I be now? And those kinds of thoughts are okay. They're helpful because you have to put things in perspective. It's absolutely critical that you start putting things in perspective. And so I'm looking to the side here oftentimes because I have my other Facebook streaming over there, and it's hard for me to do all of this on my own. Think about what I'm going to say because I had such a short period today to get prepared. In fact, no time. And I'm not great at multitasking. And that's something else that we're going to talk about because multitasking is lowering your standard. So let's go back to that wheel again for a second. So when you look at that wheel from 0 to 10, rate yourself. And then an interesting part of this exercise, and I learned this from Tony Robbins, is to actually evaluate each of those areas. So let's say health. How much certainty does it give me? So if my health is, say, like 8, how much certainty does it give me? How much significance does it give me? How much variety? How much does love and connection? How much growth and how much contribution does it give me? These are the 6 behavioral needs that Tony Robbins talks about. And I just happened to go to Date with Destiny recently. What a brilliant event, by the way. And if you ever get a chance to attend one of his events, it will be transformational. It'll be life-changing. What he can accomplish in 3 to 5 days is just absolutely brilliant. And so when we look at our 6 human needs, we need certainty. We need variety. We need significance. We need to have things mean something. We need that love and connection. We need to be growing. As he puts it, we're the happiest when we're making progress. And that's absolutely true. And that's part of growing. But life isn't enough unless we contribute. It's that generosity. That's that heart within you that says, you know what? I can give this to you because you need this or you want this. It's good for you. And so start evaluating these 10 parts in that wheel and rate those from 0 to 10 as well. I mean, how much certainty does say like the health give you? How much variety, how much significance, or finances? How much certainty does your finances give you right now? How much love and connection? And when you rate them really low, then you can start looking, okay, great. What is it that I can change in my life when it comes to, let's say, the finances that will give me more certainty, that will give me more love connection, that will give me more variety or growth or contribution? Truth is, where are you with your finances? This is one of the biggest stresses in our life, is the insecurities of our finances, our own personal wealth. Those people that have nailed it and figured out they can retire at the age of 36, they have tons of certainty. What about your health? How much certainty do you have with that? Do you have any medical issues? Do you have any medical problems? And so where can you start making the shifts in that? As you look forward to 2019, if you don't have much certainty in your health, for example, okay, where can you build that? Right now I'm juicing. I mean, it's the coolest thing. I'm not hungry as hungry as I was before. I feel great. I have more energy. I have some achy joints that are a lot less achy. And I cheated today, and my wife will, if she listens, she'll be yelling at me. You might hear the scream in a moment if she's listening in on this. And the one keeps on blanking out. I don't know why. So guys, on my own page, if you're blanking out, I apologize. It's a Facebook thing. It's not mine. Because I have all the other streaming that are streaming really, really nicely. I had pizza. And then instantly, my body just was not happy. And so I don't know what it is with gluten. I don't know what it is with just pasta or all these different things, but my body does not like them. And I believe it's simply that at some point, it's not ideal for our body. I'm not making it bad or wrong, but paying attention to your own body, recognizing, have that sensory acuity, having that awareness. What happens to your body when you consume certain things? I mean, alcohol is certainly not a good thing. All these studies out there, particularly in France, say that, 1 to 2 units of alcohol is a good thing. Well, I think under the current stress load that we have, it's probably a good thing, but why not try to be less stressed? Why not find other ways to be less stressed? Because alcohol certainly is not a good thing for you. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not criticizing it because I like my wine. In fact, I've got my wine right here. Not promoting it, but the point is, if at some point in my life I won't be drinking alcohol. And so, what is it for you? Where can you get more certainty? Where can you have more connection on your health with others? I connect with my wife. We go walking. We work out together. It's a neat connection. She inspires me to do things. I mean, she's incredibly fit, and she's actually going to compete next year. I won't tell her age, but, she's, on the older side, and she can beat, people that are 20 years younger than her. Why? Because she's focused on that. So where is your focus? Where's that wheel for you? It's really important to begin to engage in that part. So when we start looking at some other things, it's what is that standard? Establish what that standard is. And as I mentioned earlier, what I was doing, I was being flexible with my standard, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting certain things done. One example, is a website that I'm establishing. I'm creating a new directory on wellness, and it's taken way too long. And so I was just really flexible with that standard, with that timeline. So when you look at 2019 and you say, what are my standards? What are the timelines? What are my achievements at 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, and 12 months? 9 months. What are those timelines, those milestones for you? And decide, I'm going to make this happen. It's no different than when you're going to run a marathon. Those milestones that you have to reach if you want to, get under a certain time in a marathon. So establishing that in advance and being realistic about that. And throughout the year, what's important then is as you reach or don't reach those milestones, commit to checking in with yourself. And that's going to be another part that we're going to talk about. But what is that standard for you? What would make 2019 just absolutely awesome? Because that's when you can give yourself the reward. You see, as you look towards the end of 2019, if you can envision some of the most successful people, and perhaps all of the successful people, envision what it looks like. So Walt Disney did. He envisioned something that we could never imagine. And now we get to experience that very thing that we never imagined then. Because he had that vision. He had that compelling future. So what's it for you? Envision it. Constantly envision it. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Have that image in your mind. And as I work with my clients and we go through this process of getting totally grounded and centered and focused and open, something I learned from Robert Dilts and Mitchell Stefko. And that was, connecting with all parts of you and the universe, connecting with your future. And then what I incorporate then is that I look back. I look back at the last year and at the end of 2019 and ask myself, what is it that I needed to do to accomplish all this? Who did I become? Who did I have to be? Getting back to who am I? What are my roles? As I was talking to one of my clients the other day, who was kind of stuck in their life. And I helped him figure out, he had these wonderful plans in helping people heal and grow. And I asked him, who do you need to hire in yourself? Who do you need to fire in yourself? I need to get new glasses. These things are falling down all the time. Driving me nuts. Probably driving you nuts. But who do you need to hire in yourself? Who do you need to fire? Who do you need to get rid of? What's that voice back there that says, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this? Get rid of that person. Because here's my belief. My belief is that if you have an idea, you can make it happen. You don't have to be a lunatic. And the term lunatics really comes from those people who said, we want to go to the moon. They're called lunatics, crazies. And guess what? We made it to the moon. Maybe they didn't. But you can. What is your moon? What is that place for you? What gets you excited? And so that's the other part. It's the emotion. You see, oftentimes people are disconnected with their goals, with their outcomes, with their future. It's because they're not connected with what emotion they want to experience. The truth is, everything is emotion. Every single moment, we are experiencing some kind of emotion. And so especially those times when we achieve something, what are those emotions? Excitement, fun, pride, empowerment, all these different things. How much more of that do you want in your life? How much of that has been taken away from you because people out there say, no, you can't do this. No, you shouldn't do this. Or maybe it's that internal dialogue that's been going on. It's, no, I can't do that. I'm going to hurt this person or whatever. You deserve it for yourself to live the life that you desire. And if other people don't want to be part of that, well, that's okay. Maybe those people don't belong in your life. There is that saying that if you look at the 7 people around you, that's going to average, if you average their income, that's your income. If you average their lifestyle, that's your lifestyle. So hang around those people that really are achievers or in the direction that you want to go in life, that don't hold you back from your own dreams. You deserve that. So this is about, again, just to recap, it's about who are you? It's your beliefs, your values, getting connected with that, your roles. Who do you need to be? Who do you need to become? What is that resourcefulness that you can tap into? And then all of that gets put on a list. This is who I am. This is what I want. And there's 2 other elements that are essential. One is why. Why do you want this? Why is this a must? And another term I learned from Tony Robbins. And he says, if you can't, then it's a must. Not a should, not a would, not a maybe. This is where language is also important. Decide, you know what? I want this. This is why I want this. People are successful in life, have a compelling future, and they know why. They know the difference that it makes for them. They know that a difference that it makes for other people. And think about that for yourself. What is it that you want in life? Is it money? Is it houses? Is it relationships? Is it things? Is it experiences? For me, it's traveling. I love to travel. And so part of my outcomes and goals is to be sure that I get to travel. I just came back from the Ukraine. And then I'm in the Bahamas. Next month, I'm going to Mexico. Then I'm going to Guatemala. And I go back to New Zealand, right? What do you want? And then it's about, okay, how do I get there? So that's when you develop your big action list. All the different things that you have to do to get the fulfillment of those outcomes. What's it going to take to get there? And when you do get stuck with something, great. You get a coach, or you read a book, or you ask others, how do I get there? What must I do? Now, the final element that's absolutely essential, and I think this is where most people go wrong, and this is when I realize that I'm frustrated, that I'm not accomplishing it at the rate that I want to accomplish, it's because I didn't schedule it. I didn't put it in my scheduler. I didn't plan it out. So that's where you need to do this consistently. I do it every week, and then every day, and then I check in with myself. Did I give myself feedback? You see, with New Year's, people set out their goals, and the first time they check in with themselves is at the next New Year's. Well, that doesn't help. Same thing with airline pilots. You know, they don't take off and then decide to check in with themselves after about 10 hours to figure out if they're on course. No, they check their course consistently. I think it's every 10 minutes or so. That's the last that I heard. So what is it for you? See, part of the challenge too is that sometimes people think of this great idea, this great plan, and then make it too big as well. So they can never accomplish it because it's too hard. They have no concept of how it's going to happen. So you have to chunk it down. Chunk it down in 6 months, chunk it down in 3 months, then chunk it down in a month, then chunk it down in a week. And so it's the one thing. It comes down to the one thing. What's the one thing that I need to do? So when you have a lot of those one things that you have to do, guess what? They're going to collect and accumulate to a lot of one things. Ultimately, that's your outcome, what you accomplished over time. But you have to schedule it. So my personal challenge when I first started doing this work is I was all excited. I was scheduling these things. But then I discovered I wasn't actually following through because it was just work. It was mundane. It wasn't fun. So that's where juicy language comes in. You write something. So if it's just a workout, maybe that's just not going to work for you, or, take the kids to school. Okay, I'm going to take the kids to school. That's not a lot of fun. So what is it that what language can you use to make it more fun? So expanding my health and vitality so I can have the energy to climb a mountain. These are the kinds of things that you want to share with yourself. Have a magnificent ride and engage with my children and discover more about them and be an incredible model for them. So I know that's a lot. It makes sense what I said. But that's more than we're used to. So that's the other part. That's the challenge for so many of us. It's time. We don't give ourselves enough time. Always in a rush. And this is the big distinction for you listening in. If you really want a successful 2019, is plan your year. Plan in advance. Set the stage up to win. So all you have to do is you just have to follow the recipe if you've decided in advance. Because the problem that happens way too often is that we're expending way too much time and energy to kind of figure out, okay, what's our next step? What's the next thing we're going to do? And that's a major distraction in being effective and efficient in getting things done. It takes away that time. The other part that's critical is making sure that you're practical and realistic about the time that you allot for all these different things and give yourself a cushion. Now, this is where that flexibility comes in. And this is where I got stuck as well, as my coach corrected me the other day. I was telling him, if I can't do this, if I don't have the right time to do this, then I'm just not going to do it. And so that was just being inflexible with time and inflexible with my standard too, but inflexible with the time. And so it's important for you to establish, look, if I can't accomplish this in this period, then how is it that I can do this in a different way and still have that quality of experience? Not necessarily the quantity, but the quality of the experience. And learn through that process. Learn how to make the adjustments as you go along. It's no different than saying, you know what? If I'm going to improve my golf game, right? By the end of the 3-month quarter, let's say, and by the end of the quarter, I have to have a handicap of, I have to hit maybe 84. Then I'm going to be happy. Well, why not make it a range? Why not a range from 80 to 90 for those golf players out there? Or maybe it's just how many miles you get to run. And it's not so much you're reducing your standard in that way. You're allowing yourself to win because you're giving yourself a range to win. For me, when it was about reading, if I could give myself at least the opportunity to be successful, if I read between, 30 minutes to 3 hours. 3 hours would be the perfect ideal, would be awesome. But 30 minutes, I could feel that I won. So what is it for you? Too often, we are so critical of ourselves that we're losing all the time. That's just going to be unmotivating. It's going to kill your mojo because you're way too hard on yourself. So identity, as we talked about, who are you? How do you define yourself? Your beliefs and values. What do you believe about yourself, about your abilities? What do you value? What are the things that are important to you? What are you focusing on? So values are like love and creativity and bliss and accomplishment and wealth and abundance. And then what are your roles? Who do I need to be? I need to be disciplined. I need to have sensory acuity. I have to have awareness. I have to have compassion for myself. I have to have forgiveness for myself. I have to have flexibility and openness, tapping into my own greatness. These are the roles. Getting rid of the naysayers in my life, inside of myself, the critical, the cynical, the pessimistic, and getting rid of those out of my life. Not to be unrealistic. I think sometimes people say, you know what? Just manifest and then put your intention out there and you're going to get it. Well, you know what? How's that working for you? Honestly, for those that it's working for you, awesome. But be honest with yourself, right? How often does it really work? Yes, I know the universe will conspire to serve you. Put that intention out there. I do believe in synchronicity. Absolutely 100%. But ask yourself, how long are you going to wait until you decided, yeah, that intention finally arrived? I know certain people out there, they're making these different types of predictions about what's going to happen in this world. And they give a timeline for it. That timeline passes. Just waiting for that to happen. And I see that all the time. Give yourself that standard. Okay, I want this by this amount of time. And then getting the feedback as you schedule it, you plan it and you schedule it. And then check in with yourself every week, every month, every quarter. Am I on track? Is what I'm doing right now working? Am I getting the results? If I continue on this pace, am I going to get there? And then making the adjustments. You've got to make those adjustments. Being flexible, being optimistic, being open, being creative. tapping into those roles again. Who do you need to become? As you envision that end of the year, just envision it. Get excited about it. What are the emotions? Connecting with that emotion. I know that sometimes when I get lost, I'm disconnected to that emotion because I'm just distracted. I get distracted when I travel. That's one of my personal challenges. And so I'm disconnected with the bigger vision. I'm for a lot of reasons. There's people, there's this, and up in the air, which is one of the coolest things, by the way. Flying. But then it gets a little bumpy sometimes. And yeah, sure. Maybe you don't get distracted, but I certainly do. So distractions happen. And so that's another one that we have to remember. When we have the big why, when we have the big yes, and those distractions then show up, and you just say no to that because I've got a big yes. It's like watching TV or getting on social media. How does that really serve you? Because I've got this big yes that I want to take care of this. I have a great relationship with my wife. And just making sure that I stay connected with that purpose and that intention instead of getting distracted, with some news story. What is it something that I can learn about my relationship with her? And she is a great inspiration for me because she's doing that all the time. I love that about her. She has a much higher standard than I do. And she reminds me too, which is a good thing. If you have somebody in your life that can remind you. I learned this the other day, by the way. Your friends, right? Your real friends, they're the ones that hold you to a higher standard. So find friends that hold you to a higher standard. I recently did an event, and it was an interesting phenomenon where people just did not like being held to a higher standard. And I just knew that we had to have a higher standard. It was imperative that we held ourselves to a higher standard, because that's one of the things that I've learned over time with some of the grand masters, including Tony Robbins. He talks about that all the time. Step up, set a new standard, set a higher standard, because he realizes human potential. You must realize and begin to tap into your human potential, your greatness inside of you. And be okay if it gets a little messy. That's fine. These podcasts are pretty messy at times. And this Facebook page, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but keeps on blinking in and out. Oh, Joshua, great. Joshua is an awesome example. He's a good buddy of mine. Really appreciate him. And he's someone that gung-ho goes into and taps into his greatness. He's got the biggest heart. He goes out there. I'm excited for him because at his young age, I'm a slow learner. I didn't get access to all this cool stuff until much later on. But you've got the access to that too. All of us have. So start looking into what's possible for you. Just checking the timer. I got 2 minutes left. Start looking at what's possible for you. Making the impossible possible. What did you do to make the impossible possible? Another phrase I learned from Chad Cooper, great friend of mine, great brother of mine, and my coach. Everybody needs a coach. You need a coach. Whether it's just reading the books and really engaging and implementing them, but preferably a real-time coach that's going to help you. So finally, it's an interesting part of the year. It's the end. It's the reward. And it's the beginning. So what is it going to be for you? Set that declaration for yourself that you're going to master 2019. That you're going to tap into the best version of yourself because you deserve that. And the people around you deserve that. And if you want some help, there's a book. There's a great book. It's called 52-Week Success Plan. I wrote this 2 years ago. And that was my standard as well. And this is 52 habits that you can tap into. So if you're wondering what it is that you need to do, get this book and you can start looking to, you can make your own list of how you can start changing your life. You deserve that. I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, prescription for your transformation, real people, real conversations, and real success. And I really thank you if you listen to this entire hour. I'm impressed, and I love you for that. And again, my hope is to give you insights, whether they're my own or especially from other people. And next year, we've got an incredible calendar of amazing people that I will be interviewing, including Burning Man, the incredible artists of that, to really give you the opportunities to expand your life and really to tap into your authentic genius. And remember, it is about the brain intelligence, the body intelligence, and that energy intelligence all around you. So thank you very much. I'll be back next week for the final drive for 2019. I thank you. God bless and good night.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Rademaker's Prescription for Transformation. Join Dr. Bart Rademaker live right here on Radio Star Worldwide each week or on demand 24/7.